Grand Am.
This has been the key word by Bob Stallings, because I think those guys had the fastest car at Daytona in the previous round, and they literally threw it all away by being too impatient with John Fogerty in those opening laps.
Let's show you what happened.
You turn the steering wheel and the car doesn't turn as much as you'd like. So you want to put more steering in. That puts more slip angle on the tire, more wear on the tire. The right thing to do is don't add steering, but just lift off the throttle a little bit or load the front end with a little bit of brake pressure and get that front to bite. But boy, you got to really watch it.
On board the VisitFlorida.com Mazda for Dempsey Racing, Joe Foster and Charles Espenlaub. And this is one of the cars that showed cockpit temperatures of 158 degrees. The boys are really earning their money today. Through goes Ricky Taylor. That's the speed differential between a Daytona prototype and a GT car.
And that was exactly the same spot where he and the 97 came together, so you can't afford to wait. There's a big speed difference between the Daytona prototypes and the GTs at that part of the racetrack. You've got to go through that gap.
The prototype gets back in for Kelly Collins later in the going. Chris?
Well, Charles Espenlaub taking over for Joe Foster in the 40 machine. This is the FloridaLive.com car. And this team struggling a bit this weekend, just not getting the handle on this car. When you look at the 40 and the 41, you'd think they were the exact same cars, but this is a much older chassis and really has different geometry too. The geometry on this car is also very different than the 41 car, so you can't just take the setup off the 41 and make it work on the 40. So this team's struggling. I think they're running back at about 14th right now.
Now, one thing on these older cars, when you hear Chris talking about an older car, it means it's got more miles on it. And these are tube frame cars. They're steel frame cars. You can see the roll bar tubing right there. As they get older, those tubes get worn and they start to flex. And as they start to flex, it becomes like a spring rate. You can't run the same spring rates you could with a new chassis that's just been welded up. And you start chasing the car, chasing the chassis.
Just kind of a Sunday drive. You took a breath of fresh air and kind of shrugged it off.
I certainly don't feel like a Sunday drive, obviously. It's a hot race for everybody. My story is no worse than anyone else. Florida Live Mazda is running well mechanically. We took a gamble to start the race on the tires we qualified on kind of older tires to see if they might last longer, and it appears we've lost that gamble. Stickers is probably the way to go. So we backed up pretty quick in the first part of the race. We put some stickers on for Charles. We'll see how good he can do. Definitely hot. It's showing in the data over 155 degrees in our car right now. So I need to go sit on the beach in Florida, sit in the ocean.
So do you think Patrick's happy he's not here?
I don't know. We're certainly, we miss Patrick. He's obviously filming Transformers 3 right now in Chicago. Hey, Patrick. And I hear it's warm there, but we're having fun here. We're looking forward to having him back soon.
Good stuff. Hopefully these guys can move forward. Brian?
Memo Rojas right now being attended to by the medical guys. You know, he's out of the car. He's talking fine and all that. I just think he's really hot.
What went down? Here's Charles Espenlaub in the 40. The 43 Salen's Mazda is there.
Getting tight here. Oh, he climbs the rear wheel. It was rear wheel to rear wheel contact outside the fender flares, and he just...
Something immediately.
So look at it himself, and this is not going to be a quick fix if it can be fixed at all. We'll have to wait and see.
The Florida Live Mazda for Dempsey Racing is wounded as well. You saw it running slow. Here is Charles Espenlaub limping back to the pits.
Well, you saw Boris's car, the Corvette, climb on board. That's an independent rear suspension car. So it got traction against the other tire.
See Charles fighting that car even at low speed there just to maintain control. He's got a tag there in that left side. You can see the left rear tire is down.
All right, let's stay with this GT theme and let's hear from a former series champion who's just stepped from the car. Here's Paul Edwards.
Yeah, Paul Edwards led close to 40 laps in this opening stint. And Paul, you didn't...
I think it's a great day for Chevrolet. The team's worked their butt off all year, and it's finally coming together for us, but it's a long way to go.
Driver change was pretty slow. Tires, fuel done, but about another 10 or 15 seconds on the driver change. What happened there? I'm sure we'll talk about that in the locker room, you know. I'm not going to point any fingers at the team owner or anything, but he does 99.9% of things right, so once in a while we all get it wrong, so it's still a long way to go. We're doing just fine. Hey guys, I took a look at the tires that came off the 07. They looked like they were in great shape, and those were the tires that they started with. Brian?
Overnight, they got rid of a bunch of the understeer on that car and has really turned it around. It is very quick right now.
Ricky Taylor running third. We're looking at him from the VisitFlorida.com Mazda. Behind him is Darren Law in the 59.
Guy, you know, it's 3 times now, and you know, he tried to pinch and stick his nose in turn 2.
He is pretty hot. Dramas here for the Dempsey Racing Mazda.
Oh, that'll cool it off.
We'll slow it down too. Parachute out the side of that.
Yeah, that's a pretty big air brake going on. You can't pass him on the left though.
We're getting ready to go green here, boys. We're working our way to the front. Pruitt is there. Gurney's ready to go. Valiente's ready to pounce. Bert Frizzell in the 61A Motorsport Ford's in good shape. Angelelli is fresh, or fresher than some. David Donohue's aboard the Brumos Porsche. Oz Negri's there. Before we go back racing, let's get some last-minute updates. Chris, take it away.
Well, we saw a lot of GT traffic come in on that pit stop at the 57. Stevenson Camaro stayed out. Mike Johnson saying they are good on fuel, but the big question is, can they keep the tires underneath that Camaro? Brian?
That margin. Let's talk GT for a moment. What do we see here? The 67 TRG machine.
Riding on board with Joe Foster right here, trying to go to turn 2 again. No room. This time he takes the aggressor around.
Joe Foster, 57.
And another one. Here comes another one in.
This is crazy.
They've got to get a slick flag there. There's no doubt now that there's oil everywhere.
Let's show you what happened between Michael Valiente and David Donohue just a few moments ago.